Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I'm so incredibly pumped to have you here today because we are embarking on a journey to the absolute top of the world. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover exactly how and why one single country, Nepal, utterly dominates the global mountaineering space. Seriously, it's this fascinating mix of geography, rich culture, and brilliant infrastructure, and we are going to break the whole thing down for you right now. You know, there's a saying, whenever we hear about Nepal, we remember Mount Everest, and whenever we remember Mount Everest, we remember Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary. And honestly, that pretty much hits the nail on the head. Back on May 29th, 1953, those two made the first confirmed ascent of Everest via Nepal's southeast route. That one single historic moment just exploded in the global media. It inspired generations of climbers and permanently linked Nepal to the absolute pinnacle of human achievement. But it makes you wonder, how exactly did they build an entire thriving empire from that one single moment in time? Well, let's map out exactly how they did it. Today, we're exploring 6 core pillars: the roof of the world, a mountain for everyone, the Sherpa advantage, the adventure ecosystem, unmatched global dominance, and finally, challenges at the top. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the roof of the world, or what you might just call insane geographical luck. Because to really wrap your head around Nepal's dominance, you have to start with the sheer geological lottery they won. The country has a pretty tiny footprint, just over 147,000 square kilometers. But packed into that tiny space is an impossible concentration of giant peaks, which brings us to this absolutely mind-blowing number: 8. Across the entire planet, there are only 14 mountains that soar above the legendary death zone of 8,000 meters, and an astounding 8 of those ultra-high mountains are located right here in Nepal. I mean, no other country on Earth even comes close to that kind of concentration. The scale of these giants is just staggering when you see the numbers. Obviously, you have Mount Everest towering up there at over 8,848 meters, followed closely by giants like Kanchenjunga, Lhotse, Makalu, all the way down to Annapurna I. But the crazy thing is, it doesn't stop there. Beyond those famous 8,000-meter peaks, Nepal is home to more than 1,300 peaks that exceed 6,000 meters. The place is literally a vertical world. Which leads us nicely into Section 2, a mountain for everyone, featuring over 300 open peaks. Now, you might be sitting there thinking you need to be some seasoned, heavily sponsored pro just to step foot on a mountain in Nepal. But actually, that is their brilliant secret. You don't. Climbers can safely progress their skills over multiple expeditions, kind of like leveling up in a video game. You can start out as a total beginner on something like Island Peak. Once you've mastered that, you move up to intermediate climbs like Lobuche East. From there, you can test your mettle on highly technical, advanced climbs like Amadublam, before finally making a bid for those elite giants like Everest or Annapurna I. But hey, what if you're not a technical climber at all? Well, Nepal has an incredibly extensive trekking network that pulls in hundreds of thousands of visitors every single year. You can hike the iconic Everest Base Camp, the Annapurna Circuit, the Lingtang Valley. These legendary routes let everyday adventurers get up close and personal with the Himalayas. And here's the real genius of it. These treks act like a massive inspiration engine. Hikers come for the trek, they gaze up at those massive peaks, and boom, they're inspired to come back for serious mountaineering a few years later. Let's move on to Section 3, the Sherpa advantage and the world-renowned experts of the region. So, we've established that the geography is phenomenal. But mountains are just rock and ice without people, right? Geography alone isn't enough. You absolutely need unparalleled human expertise. And that's where the Sherpa community comes in. Look, Sherpas are far more than just guides. They handle the incredibly dangerous task of route fixing. They manage ridiculously complex high-altitude logistics, provide critical rescue support, carry the heavy loads, plan out acclimatization, and essentially act as the expedition leaders. They are the highly experienced elite, and quite literally the backbone of the entire Himalayan mountaineering industry. Without their expertise, these extreme expeditions just wouldn't be possible, let alone successful. But the human element goes way beyond just the logistics of climbing. It extends to the very soul of the region. These mountains are considered deeply, deeply sacred in local Hindu and Buddhist traditions. So as you traverse these routes, you aren't just looking at scenery. You're experiencing ancient monasteries, vibrant prayer flags blowing in the wind, and legendary Sherpa hospitality. This deep-rooted mountain culture takes the whole experience and elevates it from a simple athletic feat into this profound, deeply spiritual journey. All right, let's look at Section 4, the adventure ecosystem and Nepal's continually growing infrastructure. Think about it for a second. Bringing hundreds of expeditions up the world's tallest peaks every single year, that requires a massive, brilliantly orchestrated machine. Over decades, Nepal has built up a highly sophisticated infrastructure to support this. We're talking top-tier international guide companies, rapid response helicopter rescue services, an unbelievable network of mountain lodges, often called tea houses, specialized domestic mountain flights, and highly advanced weather forecasting. This robust ecosystem makes tackling extreme expeditions here vastly safer and much more accessible than in almost any other high mountain region in the world. And ensuring this whole ecosystem actually functions behind the scenes is the government of Nepal. According to the Department of Tourism, they operate a highly structured permit system. The fees for these permits are dynamic. They vary based on which mountain you're climbing, the season, your specific route, and the size of your team. This vital system safely regulates the flow of climbers while simultaneously generating massive revenue. And that revenue is crucial because it trickles down to support the entire broader adventure economy, everything from local porters and gear shops to domestic airlines and rural communities. Now for Section 5, Unmatched Global Dominance, How Nepal Cemented Itself as a Global Leader. I think by now, the puzzle pieces are really coming together, right? It reveals this definitive divide between Nepal and the rest of the world. While other mountainous countries obviously have some high peaks, they often suffer from having fewer 8,000-meter options, much lower global visibility, and just a far less mature trekking infrastructure. Nepal, on the other hand, pairs its exceptional global visibility, anchored by Mount Everest, of course, with that extensive trekking network and the world-renowned Sherpa expertise we just talked about. It is this unique, incredibly developed blend of natural geography and human infrastructure that gives Nepal a completely unbeatable competitive advantage. But let's ground this in reality for Section 6, Challenges at the Top, and the modern-day threats facing the region. Because look, it's not all pristine snow and smiling summit selfies. The exploding popularity of the Himalayas has brought some looming, very real modern-day threats. The sheer volume of climbers has led to dangerous overcrowding on popular routes. We've all seen those pictures of the traffic jams on Everest, right? Plus, the undeniable realities of climate change are altering snow conditions and rapidly melting glaciers, which obviously makes things more hazardous. Then you've got the massive logistical nightmare of high-altitude waste management, alongside the ever-present dangers of extreme weather and avalanches. So right now, Nepal is walking a very delicate, high-stakes tightrope, trying to maximize the economic lifeline of tourism while fiercely protecting the environment of these natural wonders. Which leaves us with this final, vital question to chew on. As the world continues to crowd the roof of the world, can Nepal protect its most sacred giants? They have built an absolutely unmatched mountaineering ecosystem out of a single historical summit back in 1953. But the future sustainability of the Himalayas? Well, that depends entirely on how to navigate these modern challenges. It is definitely something to deeply ponder the next time you look up at those majestic peaks. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and hey, keep exploring.